So who is winning the battle? Is it Threads, X, or Blue Sky? I'm getting asked a lot about whether or not we need to be using all three of these platforms, what the latest figures are, and generally what your social media strategy should be. We've seen a lot of news about X recently because there's been a huge wave of high profile accounts making an exodus. This departure is tied into a change in the terms of service that happened on the 15th of November, so very recently. Basically, the updated policy will grant all of your tweets, photos, and videos that you've shared to X to be used to train the new AI bot, which Elon Musk is creating, which is called Grok. So you can opt out of this in your settings, but that might not matter legally. Essentially, anything that you are posting to X could potentially be used. And this is something that has angered a lot of the X community. So this has been the tipping point where actually a lot of large accounts it's been building for a long time, but a lot of large accounts have recently said, you know what, we're actually just going to leave Twitter or leave X entirely. And probably one of the most high profile of recent months is The Guardian. So, back on the 13th of November, The Guardian actually decided that they are no longer going to be posting from their main corporate account there. This is something they had been considering for a while, but they are now quoting the platform as being a toxic media platform. Their statement said that they are often seeing disturbing content promoted or found on the platform, including far right conspiracy theories and racism. The US presidential election campaign served only to underline what we've been considering for a long time, that X is a toxic media platform and that its owner, Elon Musk, has been able to influence to shape political discourse. So, because of this, The Guardian has now decided that they're not going to be sharing their articles on X, and they are not going to be posting actively to their platform. Now, I have noticed that a number of their reporters, their journalists, are still using X for news gathering purposes and also just for their own kind of personal interests. But as an organization, they are no longer active there. So, this is a pretty big move, and it's one that I think is going to influence a lot of other businesses and organizations to probably do the same. For a long time, many of us have seen that our engagement numbers on X have been dwindling. And underneath each post, you can see how many people have viewed the post. And that has been minimizing each month for many of our clients at Avocado Social. So that's the first thing that I would consider is how many people can you reach on X at the moment and what's your engagement like? Because if it is very small, then I would probably agree it's not worth being on there. So, what are the alternatives? Well, the biggest alternative is actually a Meta owned platform, Threads, which I'm sure you've heard of. The site has had more than 15 million signups in November alone, and it's not even the end of the month yet. So, they are seeing a lot of traffic come over straight from X. One of the things that they are doing a lot of at the moment on Threads is they are building the platform up to be a really good competitor to X. So there's a lot of new features that are coming out. They are launching more ways to really customize your experience in your feed. But the downside is it is another Meta-owned platform. And how much reliability do we want to give this one giant company? So the site has 275 million monthly active users at the moment, and that number is set to increase before the end of the year. There are some high profile British brands on Threads. So Greggs, Channel 4 and National Trust are some great examples of businesses who have really understood what Threads is about, which essentially is conversation, memes, voting via polls. A lot of it is humorous content, but that is becoming more serious. I'm definitely noticing more news events being covered on Threads. There are criticisms, however, with the algorithm because it doesn't necessarily always show you the news in real time. So they did receive quite a lot of negative press and attention around how they covered the US election. Content that was hours old was being shown at the top of people's feeds, which wasn't a great experience, particularly for following a news story. However, this week they have launched a new feature called custom feeds, which, if you're a long-time Twitter user, you'll remember this as being Twitter lists, essentially. It's where you can follow a group of people who are talking about a specific subject. People can put together their own custom feeds of topics and choose the users that are going to be on those feeds, and then other people can follow those. And you can toggle between these. This is rolling out at the moment. So Adam Massari said that this is live, but a lot of people aren't seeing it yet. So if you pull down your feed on Threads to refresh, you might begin to see this option, although, like I said, it is rolling out at the moment. So what about Bluesky? Bluesky's had a lot of media attention this week, and they've been able to sign up 1 million new followers in a 24-hour period. However, saying that, it is still a very small amount of people who are actually signed up and using the app compared to other platforms. They are at 20 million users globally. Now compare that to the 275 million of Threads. So it is still a very niche platform. But the reason it's had such a lot of attention in the news is because there are a huge amount of journalists and media accounts and also tech savvy people using the platform, and they are shouting about it with influence. The platform was actually started by a group of people at Twitter, but when Musk took over, they actually disbanded and went out as a separate company. One of the things that is quite a positive about Bluesky is that it's not owned by one central tech billionaire. It is a decentralized platform, meaning that it has lots of people moderating it and owning it from around the world. And so it's been able to propel itself to the top of the app download charts, which is why it's getting such a lot of attention at the moment. That doesn't necessarily mean that these are active users. However, The Guardian has been very active there. So they've essentially just moved all of their activity over to Bluesky. And you can see they're already at 221,000 followers. And so good to keep an eye on people like that. However, I haven't seen a huge amount of brands using Bluesky at all. I think if you're interested in using the app, as all social media platforms, I would suggest having a personal account there, getting to know the platform, getting to follow the nuances of how people are utilizing it first before you decide that your company needs to have a profile there. And it's certainly, like I said, a very niche place to be at the moment. There are no mass general consumers using the app. It does tend to be people who have a specific objective, whether that's influencing or whether that's media reporting, who are using the app at the moment. There's also a lot of lurkers who are just simply signing up to see what it's all about and might not necessarily be active users. One thing that you can have a look at is this tool, which was pointed out by Nicole Mezzasalma, who works for Batten Hall. And this tool is a plugin extension for Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and Firefox. It's called the Sky Follower Bridge, and it's a free tool that will allow you to migrate all of the people that you're following on X to Bluesky. So what that means is it will read who you're following on X. It will check automatically to see if they have Bluesky accounts, and if they do, it will put together the list for you. You can then go through those users and decide if you're going to follow them. So a really useful tool. I don't know how long it's going to be around for because X has previously blocked similar tools in the past. So this is something to jump on if you are thinking seriously about having a Bluesky profile. You can obviously choose to individually follow accounts or just follow everybody if you want to. But it is quite a nice way of transferring across to Bluesky quite quickly. So that's the Sky Follower Bridge extension, and that's available on Chrome, Microsoft Edge and Firefox.